All right, hey folks, we are live and this is Stump Kate. So we jumped on because we wanted to take an opportunity. A few questions had come into us, just kind of really asking about GradeCam and remote learning. So like, how can we continue with GradeCam in remote environments? And so we wanted to jump on to kind of give some tips and ideas for how you could use this. So we're really glad that you could join us today. Feel free to go ahead and comment in there because we are talking about remote and how we're just adjusting our instruction. I'd like to hear from you. How have you adjusted your instruction in the new remote environment, or even hybrid, or even as we've just changed, if you're back face to face and you get that opportunity, how are you adjusting your instruction or your strategies or whatever you're doing in your classroom with your learners? So, and I would just like to hear back from you guys. This video really is kind of about how do you support, continue using GradeCam in order to still collect that wonderful learning data, and what does that look like in the remote environment if you aren't in the room with your kids? How can you make that work? So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into that. So in GradeCam right here, I just had a couple different opportunities, a way of thinking about this. And at its very basic level, remember, GradeCam just asks you for an answer and a key. So if you're doing something, I have this assignment up, or this example type here that I'm practicing with my students, different kinds of questions. And so, or excuse me, different kinds of sentences, not questions. And they have to learn what a command is, a question, exclamation, or a statement. So I just created ahead of time a quick key, and it's only 6 questions, and this is something that I'm going to share out to the portal so that when I do get the opportunity to meet my students and we're in our webinar call, I can have them do an exit ticket to kind of get a formative to see where they're at after we finish our lesson talking about those different question or sentence types. So I just created 5 questions. This was, or excuse me, 6 questions, because the last one we'll explain here in a little bit. I just did a custom multiple choice, and it's command, question, exclamation, and statement. Just very simple, nothing changes from there. At this very simplistic level, the only thing I need to do as I prep for my kids is put this out to Portal so that they can access it digitally from their device. So we've done a lot of different lessons on Student Portal, but we'd love to hear some more back from you if you'd like some additional feedback on that. We'd like to know. But if I'm going to jump right in here and say what kind of sentence, I just need to make sure I assign it to my class. So if I'm going to assign it to my algebra class, what dates is it going to be available? And if I'm planning on doing this live, I'm just going to make it, live as in with my kids at that time. I'm going to make it one day, or I may even make it the 24th. I know that my class ends at 3 o'clock. So as soon as we get off of that call at 3 o'clock, my time, this will be my time zone there, that testing window closes. If you want to give them a little bit more time, meaning I'm going to give you 15 minutes after we finish up to go ahead and turn that in, I can make adjustments in there if I want it to be 3:15 p.m. or however you would like to do it. So I'm going to hit save because that's where it is, just at the very simplistic level, what I want them to be able to do. And I'm going to adjust one here. Oops, hold on. I have to adjust one of my sentences here. And what I love about the portal is if you want to copy and paste that to other, or clone those settings to another class, you can quickly do so, and it just takes that exact same setting, so it's all ready to go for that class as well. You can post that link out to your students in Google Classroom, or you could give it up to your other learning management system. But if you just want to send them to GradeCam, they'll jump in and see what that looks like. So how can this look for my students? What are they going to see? Let me refresh this because I logged in as a student. Here's that test, and it says it's due at 3:15, so you got to remember to do this. So as I'm getting ready, I may give a few instructions to my kids about where they sign in to GradeCam in order to get on there. I'm going to say, go ahead and click on that assessment and start working. Because we're on our webinar call. I have this attached, but you don't even have to have this attachment on there, because this is going to be a verbal test, meaning I want them to listen to me and hear how I'm saying it. And so I'll just read off that sentence. Please clean your room before you leave for school. What type of question is that? Or what type of sentence is it? It is a command, a question, an exclamation, a statement. And they will go through and just fill that out. So I don't even have to have that ahead of time. I can make my sentences up just right there in the moment, because if I knew kids were particularly struggling with the difference between what a command was and a statement, maybe I throw in a few more command or statements in there in those sentences that I share with them. So it's totally adjustable. I don't have to worry about the questions. All I need is the answers. You don't even actually have to put those answers into GradeCam right away when you make the key. You can just assign it to the students, and then you come back later and write in the correct response. If you want to have an open-ended response right there, I'm going to say, okay, guys, you see I left it blank here. I want you to write a question sentence, because I knew that they needed to work on their punctuation and which punctuation should go with that question. So I would have students fill in their own question here. So I could say, what is my favorite color? And then they have to make sure they have the correct punctuation that is going to go with that. Then they go ahead and turn it in. So with that being turned in, I, on the teacher side, get those results immediately, and I can just do it the last 5 minutes of my class or my virtual class with those students, so that they can get that in there. I get the data and feedback on my side to know how they're doing. So that's just doing a verbal sharing of the response to go with your GradeCam form. Another way that you can use GradeCam is doing a very generic daily exit ticket. So I always loved doing exit tickets in the classroom because they were very open responses. So I set this daily exit ticket up. It is 2 multiple choice and it's 3 open responses. And open response are probably my favorite one to do, because when I look at it, I can add this custom header here. So this could be something I do right at the beginning and I can get some quick feedback there, or I could do it right at the end of my webinar session with my student, my webinar class with them. But they get that custom header. The top 2, I just build in that routine into my class if I'm always going to ask a couple multiple choice questions. But I'll tell you, if you set this up ahead of time or you copy this form every day, you just have to copy it. Maybe I don't want to do my multiple choice. I'll actually just make this worth 0 points. So it doesn't really matter what they click. I am like, I'm not going to ask multiple choice today. I'm just going to jump right into my open response. So what do the students see? Let me come back over here to my students so you can see what that looks like. Here's my daily exit ticket. I've already assigned it to the portal and it's set to be due at the end of that day, because my plan was to meet with my students and talk with them, and then their first step is to go straight into this particular activity so that they could get a recap of that lesson. If I open it right here, you'll notice I have no attachments that popped over, because maybe I give them a few verbal questions, but it's these open responses right down here that say, share an aha from today's lesson, and they can fill in that very personalized feedback instruction. This is also great that if you have students working on site, so you're trying to teach both virtually and on site, those GradeCam, if I wanted to make a paper form to pass out to my students, they fill in theirs. But the students that are working digitally are able to fill in their responses straight into the student portal. So let me throw in a couple responses here. I don't know. That's going to throw a wet red flag for me when they say I don't know and make a prediction. I have no idea. So I don't even know what I'm making a prediction about. But see, you could really tell that they're not getting any feedback, because this is about them being there and interacting based on the information you shared while you were in your class. So you can have that information. Throw in a couple multiple choice and hit turn in. From the teaching standpoint, like I said, if you are working with students that are both in class as well as ones that are working remotely, if they're in class and they have that paper form, their responses, as soon as you scan them in, will be right here. And that digital one, this is Emily, she just put those in there, and then I can grade her. What I really love is when those responses come in, if I sort these by question. So I want to look at all of the what questions did you have about today's lesson, which is number 4. She can say, she didn't know. So maybe here, I'm just going to rank the ones based on what I think their knowledge level was, so that when I come back and review my item analysis, do I have an overwhelming amount of zeros? It's not for a grade. It's just a 0 of, they really didn't get what was going on. Or 2, they had a good idea. Maybe 1, they had a few things right, but a few things wrong. You could do your own scaling there. You could even write in your feedback So this feedback would go back to that student. So if it was a question about the lesson that they needed, I really didn't get what you meant by Gatsby's role and what he was supposed to be doing over there on I think he was on East or West Egg. What was his purpose? I didn't understand that. So I can give that teacher feedback right here to send that back to him. But if I saw that question come up a lot, I know instantly what I'm going to address to the students in my class. So that's a daily exit ticket. And that's just without content. That's based on something live that you're sharing right there during your webinar class. If you plan on using a daily exit ticket and you want to use that with your students every day, like the same format, like I said, 2 multiple choice, 3 open responses. If I just am taking this, I can delete the responses each day, or you can just make a copy or clone the assignment and you can assign your new one from there. It just depends on what kind of data you want to retain and keep over time. If it's just an exit ticket that you want to be able to check every day, you may just want to go ahead and delete it. That's up to you. Delete the responses so that the student will be ready to put in their next response. Again, it's kind of whatever is going to work from your side. So that again was just some ideas for how you could continue using GradeCam in the student portal when you're working remotely with your student, as well as those situations where you may have some remote and some on-site students. How can you continue using GradeCam and work in a digital environment? So we'd like to get your feedback and ideas and questions. What do you think about this idea? Do you have some ideas that you've used GradeCam in working remotely? We'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for your time today and hope you enjoy. Have a great rest of your week.